Okay, so now let's make a sound that is very similar to the signature sound from the movie Annihilation. It's a really cool sound because it's very musical and also you can use it as a cinematic instrument. So let's drop the MIDI first. This is how it sounds now. The harmony is very mystical and with proper sound design it was going to sound awesome. So let's jump into Serum, and first of all, let's click on the mono, legato and set the portamento time. It's about like really long. Let's go with basic shapes like in oscillator B2, but in oscillator B I want to use a saw wave instead, and let's activate the sub. But pull back the random. And let's go to the filter, and I want to filter, low pass filter, only the saw wave. And you know what? Let's add some voices to it. But what if we crank this up by 1 octave? Yeah, it sounds cool, but I think we will need some attack time. Okay, so this is the fundamental of the sound, but what really make it is the effects. So first let's add a distortion, like crank this up. The distortion is crucial because this is what will make the sound. You know, you don't really want to have just a simple saw or a sine wave or whatever. You want to create some interesting tones. And the distortion is always a good idea to do that. Let's add a compressor. And now let's add some voices using the chorus. Okay, let's add an EQ to chop off the lows. And the highs, of course. Okay, and some spatial effects like the reverb and the delay. Okay, so right now the problem is that the sub does not really have any impact because we filter it heavily, but I want to have a little growly tone coming from lower octave. So if you click on the direct out and use the distorted sine wave, it's a lot growlier, and I love that. So if you want, you can use, for example, the triangle wave. That is even growlier, but it has some weird higher overtones that I don't really like, but never mind, just stick to the triangle this time. Okay, so let's add an EQA and kill the mids completely. And also the very highs, that is coming from the triangle wave in the sub oscillator. Okay, and there is one more thing I want to add here, maybe a little more gain. First of all, a saturation. So I want to saturate the sub and the synth together. You know, just a tiny bit, not too much, but drop it before the EQ. The saturator generates some higher overtones. The EQ will treat that. Yeah, it's too much. Go back to 2. Yeah, this sounds cool. And there is one more thing. Let's use a hybrid reverb again. So in the special folder, we have this drum kit silo preset that I think will sound really great. But we need a limiter after this. But again, we need to tweak the EQ of the reverb. Yeah, so as we cross together the sine wave with this 1 octave higher saw wave and filtered saw wave with the unison voices, I mean, in the FX section, it creates this really nice hollow, like really mystic kind of sound. So as you can see, it's not complicated at all. We just distorted these things together and filtered them and added some spatial effects, and this is it. But altogether, especially with this MIDI, with these notes, I think it sounds really great and can fit into any cinematic surrounding as a signature sound. And of course, if you have a keyboard, so cool because it really sounds like a brass instrument. Yeah, so this was it. I hope you learned a lot today about how to create really nice signature sound for your cinematic production. I was Larson and see you next time.